Hey folks, it's Spitz from Digital Pharma East in Philly 2012. It's my absolute pleasure to have my bald brother in crime, Mr. Bob Brooks from WEGO Health. He's an expert in peer-to-peer engagement for the healthcare community. And the one question that's top of mind for me, Bob, is just you've been in the game for a while, and you've seen the evolution of social in general, and especially within the healthcare vertical. How has the social environment changed over the last few years, and how is that reflected in terms of the offerings that you provide the community and the benefits?
That's great. Well, the social environment for patients has changed in some ways, and in other ways it's the same. It's the same group of patients that are providing really valuable support and information about treatments, coping strategies, how to deal with certain situations, how to fire a physician when that's appropriate. That hasn't changed. The conversation continues to be rich and valuable. What has changed are tools, and access to that content is now mobile. Pharmaceutical companies now understand the true value of social and how to engage in social. So conferences years ago would say social media is like, oh my God, another social media presentation. You should listen.
Yeah, you were that guy.
I was that guy. Right, I was that guy. But what's fun is that now there's case studies. So what's happened today at Digital Pharma East is there have been several case studies presented around social, what's happening in social, how pharmaceutical companies who used for years the excuse of either no guidelines or heavy regulation to kind of basically avoid doing anything in the social space. And now they realize that social is like any other channel. You can definitely engage in social, you can definitely execute in social, you can definitely measure social, but it's an effort. It takes an effort. We just heard a quote from a presenter that said overall digital is 15% of their budget, 70% of their time, and 90% of their frustration. And I loved that quote because it is true, because digital is not easy. We know that. But the reality is it is so valuable for patients, so they understand what these products are and how to take them and the length in which they should take them, and so valuable for our business because this is where information is being pulled from now, not only social but online, and so we have to get good at developing social programs that resonate with patients.
Absolutely. You bring up the point that back in the day, and by back in the day I'm only talking maybe 18 months to a couple years, we'd have to show up with suitcases full of Manhattan research decks to substantiate that the healthcare segments are even engaged within social, and now it's almost taken for granted. Now that we've overcome that hurdle of just pharma in particular, medical device companies, and even the advocacy groups really embracing social in the way we know that it could work and can work, how are they overcoming some of their hesitancy with regard to that lack of guidance? I mean, everyone's taking part now, but how do we overcome some of the issues that do linger and remain, and how do you assure your clients and folks that all the bases are really being covered?
My father used to say that a good indication of the future is the past. Let's look at the past. In 1996, I believe it was, the FDA told us that they were creating guidelines for the internet and that we would have those guidelines come summer. Well, as I said yesterday, I'm still waiting for that summer. I don't think they really can produce guidelines that will be as any useful than the guidelines we have now. I don't mean to poke fun at the FDA because I think they do an incredible job with what they have to do, which is to protect us as a public. But I don't think they can produce guidelines that are going to provide us any more information than what we have now, which is make sure there's fair balance, make sure the public understands the product, make sure that the information that's being stored and kept is not being done so inappropriately. And so what we do at WEGO Health is make it really simple for organizations to understand that they can engage with social and still work in the guidelines that we have now, and as well provide value to the community. So I think our greatest task as an industry and at WEGO Health as well is to provide value for both the patients and then provide value for the organizations we're engaging with. And it's that balance that is not easy to do, and it's why it takes time. With or without guidelines, that balance still needs to be in place.
Yeah, to your point, I even posed a challenge on Twitter that if the FDA guidance for healthcare social media was so easy, Why don't you go ahead and draft them? So basically, Facebook, Twitter, all these platforms are so much in flux. Even conceptually, it's difficult to divide proprietary information from the cross-linking of contextual content, where the information's coming from and where it's going. Given the fact, though, that there isn't guidance and it's probably not really forthcoming, what are some specific best practices that you do recommend through WEGO Health for folks, your clients, your associates, to really engage these healthcare audiences in a way that is safe, that is responsible, but at the same time allows and encourages that level of two-way participation engagement, which is the heart and soul of social?
We have 5 or 6 rules that we put into place with all the programs that we execute. One of the guidelines is use real patients in the programs. Patients want to see real patients. They don't want to see actors. A guideline would be make sure that the fair balance is there and make it shareable, but appropriately. So when you share content, the fair balance needs to go with it. We don't agree with the FDA. We think one click away is appropriate. The community has told us that. They want one click away. They don't want to be bothered with fine print before they get to the good stuff. They want to be able to engage with the content about the brand. Then they want to have access to the fine print. Absolutely, but only after they make a decision whether or not the program is of value for them and that they'll engage with the program. So one click away is a great rule. Whether or not the FDA approves that, we'd love to see that change. But the reality is, for now, that fair balance needs to be there no matter, right? And then when it comes to tools or social media programs that have character limitations, the bottom line is they need to be unbranded. If you make them branded, you're going to break a rule. But they can lead to a branded program. So tweet, absolutely, unbranded.
And how about the future? We've seen so much excitement, so much change. Facebook going from an anomaly to literally 1 billion users in a heartbeat. Yeah. So you've got all these pressures top line from basically social networks transforming how people communicate and how digital is ultimately used as a channel. Within the healthcare space specifically, how do you see that evolving, and in what direction is it going in ways that could really bring about the level of engagement that'll basically solve our one mission as strategists, which is basically to improve patient outcomes and quality of life?
I believe what will happen in the future is the silos will come down. Right, just imagine if there was a telephone center of excellence at a pharmaceutical company. Be like, what the heck is that, right? Right. So the reality is, I think that social media, digital marketing, implantable devices will become the norm, and it will just be either education, patient education, or marketing, and that's it. There will no. A good friend of mine once said, "What happens when?" Remember the term e-business? We would say e-business. He goes, "What happens when you take the e out of e-business? It's just business, right?" And so it's going to be a norm for us to see things not only go mobile but implantable, and social will be everywhere. It will be part of everything. It will be part of the tapestry, and it will all get down to helping patients take meds in the way it was prescribed, for the length it was prescribed, and making sure that our clients, or making sure the industry understands that value comes first. Value comes first.
Awesome, folks. Bob Brooks with WEGO Health talking about the future of social engagement and the ultimate integration of all channels around social, mobile, and it all. Can you feel the static electricity coming off the top here? Spitz from Digital Pharma East 2012 signing.